Professor Sethuleg Matebesi is a political analyst and the academic head of department and an associate professor in the Department of Sociology at the University of the Free State. Professor, good afternoon to you and thanks for your time. Slaughtering cows has a huge role in our culture and it's had this role for hundreds of years, maybe longer. How important is it for a political party to reflect that part of our culture?
Hi, good afternoon, Stephen, and good afternoon to your viewers. I just want to start off by saying culture is quite a pervasive phenomenon, but we should also understand if you look at the societal setup in South Africa, it is definitely a multicultural space, and one has to respect that. So there will be many questions when political parties, which most of the time pronounces that they are actually free and anybody can join them irrespective of their religion, race and all that. And when issues of culture comes in, the question will be, but whose culture are we advancing here? And perhaps, I don't know, there might be an African culture or what we would say a predominant culture in your black nation in South Africa and amongst white Afrikaners and perhaps white English-speaking people. But fact of the matter is, the moment if you move towards that, it will raise several questions for political parties which are supposed to be, multicultural and promote actually the languages and the cultures of their individual members.
I suppose this is one of those moments where an act by a political party sends different messages to different people. To some people it says, we're like you, we celebrate as you do, we respect what you respect. Other people, other voters may see it very differently.
No, most definitely. And in the context of South Africa, it might be quite a minute issue, an issue which some people will say, this is really a footnote issue which will not have a huge impact in terms of attracting voters to political parties. But one has to be very cautious. We know there are parties even in their own orientation, their makeup. They promote a certain race, they promote certain cultures. If you look at their founding values and all that. So based on that, certain individuals will not want to align themselves with such political parties. So it does have a huge implication in terms of retaining the supporters that you have and in terms of attracting new supporters. But I must also hasten to state that I don't believe that this will have a significant impact, a huge impact on political parties where you see now people leaving en masse certain political parties. But to a certain extent, there might just be, and especially your middle class people who wanted to vote for party X, and on the basis of some of these cultural practices, events that are being celebrated by certain political parties decide that these kind of cultural practices do not resonate with myself, so why should I align myself publicly with a political party, even in private, because we know voting is such a private matter and confidential matter, but at the end of the day, even if you exercise that democratic right privately, at the end of the day, you will be promoting that political party. So people might just on the basis of that either decide to join or not to join such political parties.
I suppose another analogy may be to say what kind of music does a political party associate itself with, if it has musicians at its live events, if it has a theme tune. And we all know that different people in our country listen to different types of music. If you have a theme tune that's, based in jazz, you'll get a certain group of people who will be attracted to that. R&B, others. Piano, well, you'll probably have more support than any of the others. But if you then have, Beethoven in sort of old-fashioned European classical music, you'd get a different audience. Is it a bit like that?
Yes, most definitely. And in most instances, such decisions are being made by the leadership of the political party. And we all know it's almost like it's a default decisions where I don't think if the majority of the leaders of Party X are from a certain cultural group will now want to promote other cultures. So that's where I think most of the problems will emanate for these parties, to see that now it seems as if the party members have to toe the line of a certain leader in terms of supporting or advancing the leader's cultural practices. But if there are universal practices, values that we as South Africans know, that they are so universal that it's easily to accept them, like a bride day and things like that, those kind of culture or practices, then people will easily align with that. But the moment if you try and practice your own individual cultural rights and all that, and expect the leader, your followers, to implement that or obey that, it becomes a huge problem. And it also, to a certain extent, disrupt what our constitution actually aimed to achieve, to say that we need to celebrate and we need to respect cultural diversity.
I suppose the real proof of the power of cultural actors in our society really is shown in KwaZulu-Natal, isn't it? Where the figure of the king of the AmaZulu people, King Mzulu KwaZulu-Natal at the moment, of course, you see politicians almost fighting over access to him. We saw this during the time of his father as well. The point I'm making is that politicians wouldn't be arguing over the role, over the legacy, over the political power, over the rights of a king of a group of people if they didn't think that that person had political power, and clearly in KwaZulu-Natal they do.
Yes, most definitely, and I think that is for me a typical example to see that indicates how your societal structures had a huge impact on politics. We know what has been happening for many years in KwaZulu-Natal, where people will even go to the battlefield to try and defend what is known to them, their culture, and there's absolutely nothing wrong. And I think this is the message also that we need to put across, that there's nothing wrong when people celebrate, when they want to protect and consolidate what they already have in terms of their cultural heritage. There's absolutely nothing. The problem comes when the party is open to everyone in South Africa, and the members are now expected to follow, what is being advanced by the leaders. We know for many years, even IFP and other political parties perhaps who have been based along a section, the Zulu tradition, Zulu followers and all that. But you've also seen what is the impact of that, where you see that these parties are only performing quite well in certain regions. We know in Kimberley, where you find there have been a few Zulus, and all scattered in South Africa in terms of electoral support based on, tribal alliance to a certain political party. But at the end of the day, you can't expect that of the leading parties, and we all know which are the leading parties in South Africa, the ANC, Democratic Alliance, and the EFF. The moment when they start doing that, perhaps if they are general practices, the followers may follow that, but some members may just have serious questions about the cultural practices advanced by political parties.
And Professor, we're no different from other countries, are we? I mean, all countries have different groups of people with different cultures. In American politics in Boston, you, for years, wouldn't get elected unless the Cardinal of Boston, the leader of the Catholic Church there, or the Archbishop, supported you. I mean, that's exactly the same, isn't it?
Yes, most definitely. And there's nothing wrong, because we have seen numerous, even if you look at civil society organizations, there are civil society organizations formed along racial lines, formed against certain political, identities or social identities. And then there's nothing wrong. Everybody who aligns themselves with that political party or institution or association or civil society organization will know what that organization stands for. And we've seen there's numerous examples globally where you find that people have aligned themselves because they believe in the cause of that particular organization. But we're still far off when it comes to South Africa. Perhaps it is very good to start, but we also have to be very cautious about the unintended consequences of such practices.
Professor Sethuleg Matebesi, thank you very much indeed at the University of the Free State. Do appreciate it. More to come.